Hey there, boys and girls, and here we are once again on Squares of the Round Table. I'm Jivin' Ivan Rivera.
Hi, I'm Mike Boyle.
And I'm Jeff Stein.
All right, boys. And, of course, we're bringing it together for this particular podcast. And, well, why don't we go ahead and shoot with Mike. How was your weekend?
Weekend was good. We had a busy fundraiser at my workplace, and we raised like $9,000 for Lurie's Children's Hospital of Chicago.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was great. Cool. I donated a Lego Star Wars, and I wasn't there to see it, but a kid won it, which is great. I'm glad that the prize goes to someone who appreciates it. That is super cool. So, yeah, I had a great weekend, though. Sunday, got some little bit stuffed around the house and filling up some more of my shelves. Looks good. Had our game night last night. It was super cool. Had our Pathfinder game. We won. My dice were not cooperating with me, but it was cool. It was all right. So, yeah, my weekend was good. It was pretty good. How about you, Jeff?
So, let's see. I was Toastmaster for the E63 area contest, the evaluation and tabletop contest on Saturday morning. Thought it went really, really well. Our theme was based on Batman Day. I took advantage of that.
Nice.
And Sunday night, I went over to Midwest Speaking Professionals, where I worked on, I'll put it as version 1 of my international speech for the World Championship of Public Speaking this year, and I thought it went pretty well. And I got to see a couple people practicing for the Vernon Hills Area Library TEDx, which is September 30th, and so got to do that and see the Colts win. And apparently, I needed to learn who Pat Mahomes is because he decimated my fantasy football team by himself by throwing 6 touchdowns, and at that point, I had no shot in hell.
Yeah, isn't this kid like 22 or something?
Yeah, he's like a second-year quarterback, and he's thrown 10 touchdowns in 2 weeks.
Wow.
It's like, I mean, it was really funny. I went to go check my scores early in the day, and I'm like, I'm just going to say, what the fuck? And I'm looking at the numbers, and it's like, why am I getting absolutely slaughtered? Oh, he threw 6 touchdowns. Oh, well, there you go. That guy accounted for 50 points by himself. All right, well, that would explain why I'm absolutely got no shot this week.
Nah. There's always next week.
Yeah, I went out
more.
last week. I had the Bears defense and I had Khalil Mack, and that helped. So that was good. How about you, Ivan? What'd you do?
Okay, now on the point of the Lego there, Mike, I saw a story on Facebook, and it was a team of people got together and they developed and created a car that fit 2 actual people in it that actually ran made of Legos.
Yeah, I saw that video. It was a Bugatti.
Yep. Which I thought that was pretty awesome. That kind of caught my eye going through the Facebook and Instagram pages of my routine.
Yeah, I think that's an internet rule now. If it exists, someone's making it out of Lego.
Let's see. And I really pretty much had a laid-back kind of a weekend. Was at Mather's Friday. Did my usual set. Saturday, don't think I did very much on Saturday. Sunday, we did the Sweet Soulful Sunday, which I'm loving the Sweet Soulful Sundays because I get to play music I usually don't get to play in my usual sets, so it's really nice. And my friend David Echeverry, shouting out to him, was there attending the bar, and that was cool working with him. And I had brought in both my satchels, and I got done with one show at 5 o'clock, and he came by and he looked to see what was in the other satchel. He goes, hey, what are you going to do for the rest of the afternoon? And Julie was out of town. She was at her mom's birthday party. So I went ahead and said, sure, well, I'll go ahead and I'll play a little while longer. So from from 5 to 8, I played the other satchel going into the 1980s. It turned into a 1980s set for the evening, which was really cool because I hadn't done an 80s set in a long time. So I was playing a lot of Phil Collins, a lot of Janet Jackson, a lot of Paula Abdul, Tone Loc, Ice-T, Hanson and Davis. Not my usual fare, but it was nice. Got to do something different for the crowd. They enjoyed it. It was fun.
Good.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ice-T is usually more like around like what I'm...
Yeah, I played Pusher Man on that set. And I played Wild Thing from Tone Loc.
Right.
I played Information. I played Information.
I think Paula Abdul kind of falls in there, but isn't she really more 90s? I know like 80, she kind of popped in around 89, but isn't she more like early 90s than late?
Who, Janet Jackson?
No, Paula Abdul.
Paula Abdul had some things in the very late 80s.
Did she?
Yeah. Well, she had Straight Up. She had Cold Hearted. She had
Opposite the Track.
I thought those were all
late 80s, early 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I thought some of those...
Could be early 90s. Maybe if we... No, look it up.
Well, look it up if you speculate.
Yeah, I remember early 90s was when she really hit her stride, I think, though.
Yeah, I think so, too.
I know it's kind of one of those weird things, because she hit, like, in the late 90s, and then, here.
Straight Up was 88.
Okay, well, I got that I'm looking at Billboard, and it says it Straight Up peaked up at 89, but I'm looking at so Cold Hearted, Forever Your Girl, and Straight Up were all in 89. And then it looks like basically after that it was the 90s. But I guess, yeah, this is one of those artists where she pops in late in the 80s in the early 90s, and you're never sure exactly.
Yeah, but it was that type of a set, and it was a fun set. Everyone had a great time. I took care of some errands today, according to my apartment. Went to go see my professionals at CHA, and I put in my bid for my next apartment. So in the next few years, I might be moving again.
Few years?
Yeah, because once you get into the system, then it's a matter of seeing where they can best set you. So I'm looking to get an apartment either with an elevator or something on a first floor, because I can no longer navigate the stairs. I'm getting up there, my friends.
And we know this to be true.
Yeah, so.
Aren't we all?
Well, we've not talked about the most important thing that happened over Ivan's weekend.
What's that?
I wish to hear further news of Rivera for mayor 2019.
Yeah, has that gotten any traction yet?
Yes.
It has.
Excellent.
Have we figured out a platform? Do we need a website?
Well, my friend Jerry Schultz sent is it a GIF or is it a GIF? How do you say that?
I think it's properly pronounced GIF, but we all say GIF because we're Americans and we're stubborn.
All right, well, whatever it is, yeah, he had sent one of a bong getting lit up, which I found quite amusing. And then did you see some other things on there? I mean, I didn't check back with that right away. Jeff?
No, I didn't. Well, we got to get it out there. We got to get you. We have to have like some sort of announcement or something, like a bigger announcement. Because Bill Daley's in the race now. We had to do something, Ivan. We got to get you out there.
Oh, Bill Daley is in.
Small blood.
Oh my gosh, another Daley.
Yeah.
Yep, we need another Daley just to get more weekly.
I hear he's plowed some X's in the parking lot somewhere just to show his teeth.
Wow.
That's why I said we're going to get more daily. It just gets more weekly. WEAKLY.
I see what you did there.
What? You know what I did there?
Well, at least he's not his brother Rich, because then he'd be a dick, and then we were for years, which was Dick Daley.
Yeah, well, he was also known as Rich Daley, which what he became during his term, Rich.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh no, hey.
So Ivan for mayor of Chicago.
Ivan for mayor of Chicago.
Get a solid write-in campaign at the least.
There we go.
Yeah, Ivan, Mike and I want to be rich, so don't talk about embezzlement.
Yeah, I'll be your trusted advisor.
Embezzlement is good.
I have in no way contacted any Russians.
I have not colluded with the Russians.
I will not tell you that I talked to the Swedes.
But
I do know Puerto Rican.
We'd like to still go to Amsterdam someday.
But last I checked, Amsterdam's not in Russia, Ivan. I think you're okay. Last I checked.
Okay, well, at least you checked out there for me. Look, I got my campaign people right here. This is great.
Yeah, that's what's called a gaffe, Ivan. You can't do that. You can't assume that Amsterdam is part of Russia. That will lose your poll numbers.
Well, actually, I don't think that Amsterdam is still part of Russia. No, Amsterdam is some place I want to go to someday. Russia is that place I ever want to go to.
I shall find the Red October.
Wait, we got to be careful. We need the Russian vote. Don't do that.
Oh, we got to watch the Baha'is too.
Wow.
They might get
comment.
Oh, the Baha'is. We miss the Baha'is. We used to have a show right after the Baha'is back in the 90s.
Right before the Baha'is.
Right behind the Baha'is. And we used to say, Baha'i, have a nice day. They didn't like that.
No, they didn't like a lot of the things we did. We also had, then we have like a women's committee kind of frown on us about our show back in that day too.
No comment.
About our content.
You think? You think?
Yeah.
We're taking time.
We're probably the subject of a couple of PTA meetings, but that was in the past. And now it's the future, and now everyone does it, so it don't matter.
Yeah, now we're on the internet. Anybody can say fuck here.
Oh, yeah, we can say fuck anytime we want.
Yeah, no shit. Oh, yes. Boy, like I said, so, all right, let me go here since we've already cracked the ice on some of this stuff. I have a music story for Ivan.
Okay.
I got this off the Huffington Post, and you can see this story on our Squares of the Round Table podcast Facebook page. It's breaking news that apparently, according to the music legend regaled writer Chris Heath in GQ, talked about how he and some friends used to masturbate with Paul McCartney and John Lennon as a group.
Yes, I did read that. I did read that.
And they talked about it as group bonding.
Mm-hmm. All right, we can all be in our little dark room and be a bunch of little squirts while we go ahead and become one as a group.
I can now it's just tainted my impression of the song "I Want to Hold Your Hand."
And let it be, Mike. Yeah, we all get by with a little help from our friends.
It has become helter skelter now.
You say why, and I say I don't know. Yes. I thought I'd bring this up, but apparently they were all hot and bothered by Brigitte Bardot, which, for those of you who are too young, Google Brigitte Bardot. I'm sure you'll figure out why. Not the old pictures, the younger pictures, please.
Yes, and God created woman, especially if you go there. You will understand why the likes of the Beatles would go ahead and do such an act, because if you take a look at Brigitte Bardot, most red-blooded men would have done the same thing. Let's face it. She was a babe.
Well, my understanding is, too, that this is before the Beatles got famous, which was why I was like sitting here going, really? You would think with the amount of women that were hanging around the Beatles, that's not something they'd need to do. And it was like, oh, no, this is like at the beginning before they got real famous. I'm like, oh, that makes a little more sense.
Well, okay, because maybe this was during the time, I don't know if you guys remember a movie called Backbeat.
I'm aware of it.
Okay, nope. Well, if you reference this movie, Backbeat, whatever way you get it, watch it, and it speaks volumes about what the Beatles were before they became the Beatles, when Stuart Sutcliffe used to be part of the band. He was more dressing than actual musicianship, and it will bring to light a lot of things that the article talks about. So, yeah, I would not think that unlikely about the way the Beatles were. I mean, their promotional pictures, there's a bunch of them sitting with toilet seats around their necks. I mean, this is how rambunctious these guys before they became the world-famous Beatles, the Cavern Beatles.
And it was early in their career when they did that Butcher album cover.
Well, yeah, that was the cover that ended up getting changed over. I think that was like I think they made that their third or fourth album. Yeah. I think was when that happened. And
was that we're talking about the White Album, right? Where they put the white label over it, or is that what we're talking about?
Nope.
Here?
No, we're talking about the Butcher album where you got them with cuts of meat and they're all in like these aprons and they got like doll heads and all kinds of weird
Looks
things.
Like they had cut up like infants.
Right. And
that was quite shocking back then.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
A lot of people took and they steamed the paste overs. They were some that a lot of them were recalled, but then the later ones, because there's so many of them were pressed, they just put the new cover over them, and people just steamed the covers off of them and got back to the Butcher cover. Yeah.
It's the White Album. Are you sure?
I'm positive. No, the White Album was the White Album. The White Album was the cluster plug of the Beatles doing material and nobody caring anymore. And Phil Spector stepped in and said, I'm going to try to fix this mess. Well, I sweetened a lot of it up.
Okay.
Dear Prudence is one of my favorite Beatles songs.
It's a great song. Oh. I like Dear Prudence.
I'd love to learn how to play it.
Why did I think that the White Album was done so that they could cover over the one you're talking about? I don't know.
No, the White Album was like the last hurrah. It was the one before Let It Be, which was the movie they made.
Mm-hmm.
And Let It Be was the end.
So why was Paul the Walrus again?
I'm not sure. Why was Paul the Walrus again?
I don't know. I don't ever understood the Cuckoo Cuckoo thing either. There was that whole conspiracy thing about stuff and like
because
I never understood any of that.
Okay, well, John Lennon liked to play with the words to his lyrics, so a lot of it basically were just the renderings of his psychedelically induced mind that he came out with these pictographies from his mind and wrote them down. They were techniques to his recordings of these lyrics. There are stories about him laying on the floor and a mic being way above his head to give him this hollow sound while he created these sounds. The albums that they made in the studio albums once they stopped touring are an enigma all in of themselves, because here it is, they stopped making music and started to create musical art. When you listen to any of those tracks.
Yeah, anything pre-Rubber Soul was...
Yes.
Was
anything
vastly different.
Exactly. So it was Rubber Soul that pretty much took and sent them into that whole next dimension of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band. And that being what that is, the Magical Mystery Tour, which was not well received, by the way.
No, it wasn't.
In its initial release, has become a cult classic afterward. Yellow Submarine had no input from the Beatles other than the 4 songs that were included in the soundtrack.
See, when I was a kid, I liked watching the old Beatles cartoon. Because it was on 44. And then I was like, oh, yay, they did a movie, yay, Yellow Submarine. And it was just so weird and dark and psychedelic, and it just turned me off to it. As a kid. I can appreciate it now, but...
Just like, how does that weird Sgt. Pepper movie fit in? That has to do with it?
The what? Which one?
That Sgt. Pepper movie that was so bad that has nothing to do with Sgt. Pepper.
Oh, you're talking about the one where Peter Frampton was in it and the Bee Gees, that one?
I think so, yeah. The one
that was probably the most heinous movie I've ever seen. I don't think there's enough Rotten Tomatoes to throw at it, really. It was bad.
Dude, that is not the most heinous movie I've ever seen.
Oh, well, for me, just watch that version of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band, forget about it. I'm going to be caught dead watching that thing. It's so bad. It's kind of like Can't Stop the Music with the Village People and Bruce Jenner.
What?
Oh, you don't know about that one?
Yeah, I don't want to know about this one.
Never heard of it.
Exactly. Not many people have heard of it. Yes, there is a movie out. Go ahead, YouTube it, Google it, however you want to get it. Yes, it was with the Village People and Bruce Jenner.
Hold on a second. Now I gotta Google this thing.
Go ahead, man. Now I've sent them on a quest. I love sending them on a quest. It's so good.
That is our quest, to find the movie starring the Village People.
Yeah, it was sad. It was really sad.
It is 1980.
Yeah.
Given the amount of bad music movies in the early 80s,
Lonely Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band.
Xanadu and
okay. I wouldn't. Okay, if I had to choose between watching Can't Stop the Music, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band, or Xanadu, I would watch Xanadu.
Yeah. ELO was awesome, and
the Tubes were great.
Yeah, and Olivia was easy on the eyes.
Yes, and Fred Astaire was great on his feet.
I think that's the last Fred Astaire movie ever, right? That's the movie he ever did?
I think so.
That was.
Isn't it? Okay.
But it's so good. There's such a great scene in there where he and Olivia Newton-John, he goes into this dream sequence about being in the 1940s. He was a clarinet player in the big bands, and they dance in the main room of. That was his house. That was his actual house. They filmed that in.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I happen to like Xanadu. I remember seeing it over at the Will Rogers Theater, which is long gone. But
wait, hold on. All right, I got the storyline here from IMDb. In this autobiographical of the Village People, Mayoral, a thinly disguised caricature of the group's founder, Jacques Morai, is a struggling composer desperate to gain fame with his songs. But all he needs is a group to sing them. With the help of his roommate Samantha and a lawyer named Ron, Jack forms a group of 6 macho men from his Greenwich Village neighborhood, and the rest of the film's details as they rise to fame from the New York City to a climatic concert in San Francisco.
Have you seen them lately? Do you ever watch the commercials about those cruises?
Wait. Now I'm even more scared. It says plot keywords: male frontal nudity.
Yeah.
What was this movie rated?
I don't know.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah. Now that I've done yet more mental damage to your eyes.
This is in the running for maybe one of the worst things I've ever. Yeah.
I told you. I warned
Wait, you know what I heard the best part is? You're ready for this? So, IMDb has a thing when you look up a movie that says more like this. Okay?
What did they say?
More like this. Alright?
Okay.
Movies that are included in this are something called O'Rourke of Royal Mounted. I'm trying to read the different names. Something called the tamarind seed?
Ugh.
Thank God it's Friday, and we're not talking about...
No, you're talking about the movie, Thank God It's Friday.
Yeah, well, no, I say Friday, because sometimes somebody's going, what are you talking about? That's Ice Cube and Chris Tucker. No, this is not Ice Cube.
No.
We're
not talking about the weed movie. We're talking about the terrible disco movie.
Wait, hold on. It's taking me a second to get the long way there. Bette Midler's Gypsy, a movie I had totally forgot even existed. John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John in a movie called Two of a Kind that I totally forgot about, and I'm kind of glad I did. And
how about the one with Lily Tomlin in Perfect?
But wait, Ivan, wait for it.
Yeah.
The movie comp that they say is more like this Village People movie?
Yeah.
Xanadu.
Yeah.
Right there for you.
Well, again, like I said, if I had my choice between the three that I'd mentioned, I'd watch Xanadu before I ever watched those other two.
I agree.
They do. It's funny. They had two more in here, and one of them's called Murder by Decree, and the next one, I'm sorry, this is mean. I'm sorry. Fame is a better movie than, I can't speak to the others, but Fame should not be put in that category.
It's been years since I saw Fame, but I never watched the TV series.
I may have watched that TV series briefly, but
I watched the movie, and okay, it's not the for me it wasn't the over the top thing for me, but it was still a pretty good movie. I mean, now if I had the three, and then if I had to go ahead and put Fame in there, it'd be a toss-up between Xanadu and Fame.
I don't know that I go there. Honestly, to me, and I could be wrong when I say this out loud, in my opinion, without Fame, Fame leads you to Flashdance, and Flashdance leads you to Footloose. And that's just my opinion.
Okay, well, all right, but I can honor that. I can honor that because, yeah, if there was no Fame, there'd be no Flashdance, there'd be no Footloose, there'd be no Staying Alive #2, which nobody wants to remember that.
I've seen that movie recently.
Yeah, we talked about bad sequels last week, and
yeah.
Some sequels should never have been made.
No, that was...
Still didn't really hit my all-time worst movie I've ever seen, which I actually paid... No, that's not true. It's close. It's between two movies I actually paid for.
What's that?
One was as a kid because, as a horny 13-year-old, the title Amazon Women on the Moon sounded like an amazing idea.
That's good comedy. I like that one.
And the entire time I'm sitting there going, where are the fucking Amazon women from the moon? That never show up in the goddamn movie.
Yeah, you do eventually. It's like, because it's a sketch comedy kind of, with a bunch of vignettes.
Yeah, well, as a 13-year-old...
Oh, you might as well have just gone and see Earth Girls Are Easy.
Oh, I saw that too. That's bad.
That's bad too. Surprise me? Why does this not surprise me?
Because in the 80s, I saw a lot of movies. I'll tell you what might have been worse, though. Although it doesn't fit into this at all. But I got stuck because a friend of mine was in the mood, insisted that we must see a horror movie. And I'm like, I am not going to see a horror movie. And they said, well, I started trying to look for alternatives because he didn't want to see anything I wanted to see. And we settled on a film. And that film was Battlefield Earth.
Oh, my God.
And John Travolta again. See, that keeps popping up.
Again, really bad.
Yeah.
That was when John Travolta was really having some downtime, man. Remember that one Perfect with him and Lily Tomlin? It was called Perfect.
Nope.
I thought what's her name's in that? Hold on.
Was it Lily Tomlin?
Steve Martin's The Man with Two Brains. That was pretty bad. But probably the only movie I walked out on in the theater was Ford Fairlane.
Oh, dude.
I could not finish that film.
Oh, that is one of my all-time favorite cult classics.
Really?
It is. I will watch.
I walked out on the third Austin Powers. I couldn't deal with it.
No, I saw the second one and never saw the third one. I was like, nope,
yeah,
the franchise is done.
I'm glad you put that money. I'm glad you put that money in your pocket. The third one, I got like a third of the way through it and just, I was just like, forget it. It was just too raunchy for me.
Ivan, who did you say was in Perfect?
Lily Tomlin and John Travolta.
Was it Lily Tomlin?
Lily Tomlin, Ivan.
What?
Not Lily Tomlin.
Oh, was Jamie Lee Curtis?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Like
Yeah, I know
Lily
it's one of
Tomlin. Kind.
Well, she does look like Lily Tomlin.
I want to see Lily Tomlin in a leotard.
Okay, forgive me for trying to be cruel to my memory here.
That I have the mental image now. I hate you. I hate you with the passion. I gotta tell you right now, I'm like, we need to end the show. I want to watch I want to watch this thing of Lily Tomlin, Jamie Lee Curtis with the. They got all the little videos here of her shaking her booty all over the place.
It was pretty bad, man. It's not all that they cracked it up to be believed.
Queen of Scream.
It was awkward. For them, it was like really awkward. You can actually see the awkwardness on the screen. It's really very awkward.
Here's the thing, though. The trick is, the reason why I don't remember this movie being bad, and I know why I remember this movie not being bad, is because at the time, I was a horny teenager. Jamie Lee Curtis is wearing this outfit that every guy in the whole freaking school was like, oh my god, I gotta see Jamie Lee Curtis. That was like Jamie Lee Curtis's moment of like utter hotness.
Well, I would have to say up there with True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, but this is young Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean, this is young.
Yeah, there's one scene,
and I think that's what they were depending on.
Oh, I know they were
carrying the movie.
There's one scene in Trading Places. If you blink, you'll miss Jamie Lee Curtis topless or something like that.
Is there? Wow, I gotta find that.
Well, it's just like, everybody thinks that Julie Andrews was so innocent. How about the one shot in the movie 10?
Yeah. No, not 10. It was something called where they got her high and she showed her breasts. I forget the name of the movie.
No, there is a scene in 10 with Dudley Moore.
Yeah.
Where she actually.
That was Bo Derek.
Yeah, but Bo Derek was the affection of Dudley Moore, but he was married to Julie Andrews.
Okay. And she was topless in one scene?
She was topless in one scene, yeah, towards the end.
Hold on. I'll look this up.
Go ahead and look it up. I mean, all right, like it says, maybe my memory is failing me, or I've just been thinking. I mean, maybe I got tit anxiety. I have no idea.
My movie that my judgment was clouded by hormones was Weird Science.
Oh yeah, and rightfully so.
That was a terrible movie, but I didn't care because I was 16 years old and Kelly LeBrock was on screen.
Kelly LeBrock,
absolutely.
Yeah, and a young Bill Paxton as the antagonist.
You know what the scary part was? That went on to spawn one of USA's first TV series, didn't it? For a while.
Yeah, it was a series for like one season. It was terrible.
Well, it was just like Revenge of the Nerds. I think they got like 4 episodes on television until they dropped that one too.
I don't know.
Speaking of TV series,
yeah,
I finished Cobra Kai last week at my friend's house.
Wait, hold on. Before we get to Cobra Kai, I found an amusing list.
Okay.
I found an amusing list while looking for about Julie Andrews naked.
A list of what?
How many movies that Julie Andrews was naked in?
No, Ranker has a list here. What is this from?
A list of what?
10 famous women we really didn't need to see naked.
Oh, okay.
Julie Andrews tits.
Hold on. I'm curious about this now.
No, that was Sandy Duncan. I was thinking another movie, Sandy Duncan. There was one movie where they got her high or drunk or something, and she showed her boobs.
Oh, God. This list is bad. Here's number 1 with a bullet. Apparently Nancy Grace had a nip slip on Dancing with the Stars. Yeah, we didn't need to see that.
Okay.
China from the WWE sex tape.
I wouldn't say that was bad.
Intentional nudity versus like nip slips, I don't know. It's a different category.
Yeah, well,
exactly. That sounds like wardrobe dysfunction.
Yeah, more wardrobe malfunction, Ivan.
Dysfunction, malfunction.
What's your conjunction?
Conjunction. What's your function? Screwing upwards and making a junction. I don't know.
Okay. I guess I just feel differently about this because this is somebody who sold millions of dollars worth of Playboy magazines. But she may not have looked nearly as good. Apparently, Kathy Bates was in a hot tub.
Well, that's all the time we have for Squares the Roundtable podcast.
Okay, yes, and we're going to go and...
Let's see.
Listen, Kathy Bates finish quick.
Wait, hold on. See,
what the Beatles are doing.
Number 4 is Tanya Harding's sex tape. Number 5 is here. Julie Andrews' boobs and something called S.O.B.
That was it. I thought it was Sandy Duncan, but it was Julie Andrews.
I thought it was. Was that Sandy Duncan or was that Julie Andrews?
Julie Andrews, apparently.
Julie Andrews.
Oh. Well then, what boob shot was in 10?
I don't. Maybe Brian Bo Derek.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Bo Derek.
No, it wasn't Bo Derek.
No.
Remember she was in that Tarzan movie?
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, I remember that Tarzan movie. She was also in Bolero, too.
Yeah.
Okay. So number 6 is Tara Reid's seemingly intentional sand dollar slippage. Oh, I remember this. But, see, I don't know if I agree with this. Tara Reid at the time, still somebody... no, I don't know if I agree with this. Number 7 is an aging nude I don't even know who this person is. Bailing or Bailing? I don't even know who this is.
Never heard of her.
Who's this?
I guess she's a former Playboy model.
Who is it? What's the name?
Spell B-A-I and then Ling.
Bailing?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, that don't ring a bell.
I mean, this picture's pretty bad, but then this looks like something like, you know, if they took a mugshot or something. Okay.
Bad hustler model. Okay.
American actress.
Tia Mowry nude and pregnant. Yeah, no, I'm looking at this. This is bad. Oh, they got a bad shot of Amy Winehouse in a bikini. That's not fair.
No.
And apparently they've got Lindsay Lohan getting out of a car. Okay. Well, there you go.
That was rather lame.
Done that Cobra Kai.
Awesome. It was really good.
All right.
I think the acting was good. The martial arts towards the end was getting pretty good. And these young people, this is like part teen drama, part 40-something nostalgia for me. So it rocked both to get to the young people because it's like kind of a teen drama, sort of like how the first Karate Kid was because of the rivalries between the kids. And then also you've got the older, like, you know, the Johnny and Danny LaRusso, of course.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I loved it. It was great. And the surprise at the end was super good. And the tournament, it was kind of predictable, but I don't care. But it was good drama. It was good action. You just did great character studies. You want to know what happens to these characters. And I don't want to give anything away. So go see it. It's the first 2 episodes are on YouTube for free. So I highly recommend anybody, especially someone, you know, in our age group that's kind of digs that 80s nostalgia. If you like to eat, the first 2 Karate Kid movies are really good. In my opinion, I think were good. And then it was a good way of respecting the source material.
Yeah.
That's another thing that's problematic with a lot of these reboots and remakes.
Yeah. I'm kind of it's funny you talk about reboots and remakes because I got into it with somebody on Facebook because I guess Paul Feigl? I don't remember what his last name is. The guy who was the director for the new Ghostbusters movie.
Oh, the woman reboot?
Yeah, with the all-female cast. Seemed to think that the reason why his movie did poorly was because it was an all-woman cast. And I'm sorry. As a matter of fact, on the list of movies of all-time bad, that is right near the top. I mean, I wanted to stab my eyes out with a fork. It was that.
It didn't look like a good movie to me, regardless of who was gonna be who. But of course, these women, they're doing their best with what they got, but it just didn't look funny to me.
It wasn't.
Yeah, so it didn't. So I didn't go. I didn't go see it. It wasn't because I'm a caveman. Women bad.
No, I mean it's not a misogynistic situation.
No, it's just because the movie didn't look good.
The problem is,
so everyone's claiming sexism.
See, but and no offense, okay, some things just aren't translatable that way, okay, and that's you could take that however you want to, but some things can cross over and be successful, and some things can't cross over and be successful.
But Ivan, there's where I'll disagree with you, because I think there is a place for a continuing Ghostbusters franchise. I just think this was poorly handled. And by the way, let's be clear. I don't put this on the actors within it at all. I put this on bad source material, bad special effects, bad story, and there was just too much that. And I went into this with an open mind. I plunked down $6 on a Saturday night when I had nothing better to do and watched it on demand, and I swear, trying to get through 2 hours of this movie.
Do you think it was just a matter of just taking an idea? Well, why don't we do the Ghostbusters again, but let them all be female, and let's see if we can cash in on it.
No, it wasn't just supplanting, like, this woman's going to be Ray, and this woman is going to be Egon. No, it's different. They were their own characters. They were their own person. But it just didn't translate.
Right. It just didn't. It's not even what you said, Ivan. It's just a bad script. It's just bad script, bad.
No, okay. I'm not saying that had these characters had everything grade A, it would have made a great movie. Right, I get it. Okay, but you need that in place in order, if you're going to take something that's been established and change the character build on that thing that's already been established, you have to make sure that everything around it is 1,001%.
You guys want to know something about Ghostbusters?
What?
They did do a Ghostbusters 3, but it's not a movie. It's the Xbox video game from about 6 or 7 years ago. Yeah. You go to YouTube and watch the cutscenes from that video game. That is a good story.
So why didn't anybody think about going to that?
Because of the turmoil of trying to get the Ghostbusters characters, the actors together. There was a long-standing animosity between Harold Ramis and Bill Murray. Bill Murray just sat on his hands. He didn't want to do it. But eventually they did record the dialogue to make this video game, and it's a great story. At least in my opinion, it was a fun story.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, to me, I think there's a lot that could have been done differently. I mean, here's an example of where, I don't know, to me I'm kind of like, I'd like to see more people building on the tradition and moving things forward than, okay, let's do a full-on, some things you can do a full-on
do a retread of the same thing. But if I would like to see things advance to a different situation. If I'm going to go see the Ghostbusters, I don't, retreads are hard enough to do, let alone try to go ahead and change things up while doing the retread.
Yeah. But, the retreads still work because look at last year's films. Beauty and the Beast made like a crap ton of money. Yeah, and that was a retread of the animated film.
Well, yeah, but that's live.
Yeah, but that's Disney though. See, and
so
Disney,
they get a pass.
What?
So they get a pass?
No, but they did it right.
Yeah, they did it
They
right.
did it right. No, they did it right. You're right. But
Almost
I'm saying,
shot for shot, frame for frame. They duplicated the animated film.
As long as we're talking about moving things forward, I know both of you guys. I asked both of you guys before we started the podcast today if you've gotten a chance to see. I guess the Mary Poppins Returns trailer is now out, and I gotta tell you, this was not a movie that I was interested in any way, shape, or form about. But I gotta tell you, so I sat there and said, all right, I'll watch the trailer. I'll watch it and I'll see if this makes me sit there in any way, shape, or form. I was very skeptical. I gotta tell you, I was impressed. I am now on board. I don't know that I'm gonna pay $10 to see it. Okay.
you're intrigued.
But, on the $5 Tuesday, I'll go see it. And especially looking at some of the people who they went out and who they casted on this.
Who's playing Mary Poppins?
It's Emily Blunt.
Okay, yeah.
She was. But they got. Some of the cast for this Mary Poppins Returns. Meryl Streep is in this. They got Dick Van Dyke to do it, to come back.
Wow, he must he's super old now.
Yeah.
He's still sharp. He's still sharp though.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah, he's still sharp though. I saw him in a
Emily Blunt. That's quite a step up from Rita Repulsa from the last year or 2 years ago.
Oh, is that what
she was in the Power Rangers reboot? Yeah.
Well, she's still living on. Devil Wears Prada. That movie is still. One of those movies that if you've never seen Devil Wears Prada, that is amazing.
No, I've seen Devil Wears Prada, and I agree with you, Jeff. It is a great movie.
Incredible in that movie.
No, it was a great movie.
I watched my nephew play Devil May Cry. Is that the same thing?
No. No.
Your nephew's been playing Devil May Cry forever, man.
But wait, here, hold on. Just to give you perspective, this is why I wanted to bring this up. This is just so. This is the list of people. Just to give you some names of who's involved with this production: Emily Blunt, Colin Firth, Meryl Streep, Dick Van Dyke, Angela Lansbury, Julie Waters, Lin-Manuel Miranda, and if you don't know who that is, that's the guy who created Hamilton. There's a woman named
heavy hitters in that movie.
Emily Mortimer. I'm just running down lists of names in case there's people I don't recognize that you guys might. But the point I'm getting at is it was interesting, and it's not a rehash. They moved the story forward.
Oh, it's Mary Poppins Returns.
Right. They moved the story forward, and I will say that it looks like Disney seems to have figured out how to do some of this and not make it look bad. And I give them all the credit in the world because, like I said, I have this sinking feeling that this movie is going to be very, very good. And it could be one of these movies that a lot of people were like, oh, really? Mary Poppins returns after all this time? Like I said, check out the trailer.
Okay.
I'll
check out the trailer since you.
Like I said, I may be overselling it now,
but just to be.
I went in very low expectations, guys. I went in real low expectations.
Okay. Just be sure he's not a blue guy with a mohawk, though, right?
No.
Okay. All right. I just had to throw that in. Okay, well, all right. Mary Poppins Returns. We'll check it out.
Yeah,
but I do want to see the Mulan redo they do, the live-action one they're going to do. Because I saw the Jungle Book one, and it was pretty good.
Right, yeah, they seem to be able to
translate their animated into live action, but they for most of it they've been able to do that. There was a low point in Disney's movies around the mid to late 70s, early 80s, where they were kind of on the wonky for a while there, and then they also had Disney had a reputation of being called the studio of last resort for a lot of people, which given what was going on at the time, but since they came back and they came back strong, Mickey's money looms large now with everything that they're doing.
Well, they got smart. One of the things is they boxed themselves into a corner. They boxed themselves into a corner about the Disney name and the Disney brand, And as a result, it meant that the type of movies that you could make were only a certain type of movie, and that's where you got your Touchstones and your Miramaxes, and they went and branched out that way, and that made a huge difference for them. And then they figured out how to get back into making animation and making stuff that people wanted to see again in terms of those aspects. But the only thing I will say about that time frame that you're talking about is I really do wish they would revisit the black hole.
Yes! Yes!
I wish.
But it has to be right, though. I loved that film as a kid.
Here we go. Now
when I was 9 years old, I was 8 years old, 79, so I was 8 years old, right, when Star Wars had just come out.
Yeah.
And Disney said, hey, we got one of those. I mean, the movie was in production, but it wasn't until after Star Wars when every movie studio decided to do their own sci-fi adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was a Disney double feature. My folks dropped us off at the theater, my sisters and I. It was Sleeping Beauty and The Black Hole. And I was instantly enthralled.
Yeah, that movie has gotten lost, but anybody who's ever seen that movie is always like,
everyone's all about the ambiguousness of the ending, and
well,
and it was like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, kind of in space. But still, I loved it as a kid, so I'd love to see him try and retread that in some way.
Well, but the funny part is okay, it's really obvious why it was ambiguous at the end. You know, at the time they were probably bucking for a sequel. You know, they probably thought they had something. I don't know. You know, why boy, I'd have to go look at it.
I'll tell you though, I'll give you a little known fact that there was supposed to be a Black Hole sequel. And a few months into the setup and everything, the project got abandoned. Nobody knows why.
Well, the only thing we had close was just some comics that they made. It was called Beyond the Black Hole, where the crew of the Palomino they go through the black hole, spoilers, and they live, but they make it to the other side, and it's sort of like this parallel universe or something like that. But
yeah, and there's a site where I don't remember. I'll have to find it, where they gave you ideas as to what films were in production, what films they did certain things on, and what films they didn't complete because of whatever reason. Some of them had reasons, most of them didn't, but they gave a time frame as to what productions were invested into these particular movies. And The Black Hole, was supposed to have there was supposed to be a sequel, but
they did leave it open at the end for a sequel, but the ending part where they kind of had these crazy visions of heaven and hell and all that, it was just weird, but I didn't care as a kid. It's like space battles and robots were freaking cool in that movie, man.
Mm-hmm.
The Sentry robots and Maximilian, man, with those claws, the spinning claws.
Well, here's the thing for me. Why did Disney ever do any merchandising on that movie at all?
Sure they did. They did lots of paper goods, lots of coloring books and activity books.
Yeah, but I'm saying, were there any actual figures that were actually?
Yes, they were Mego.
Were they Mego, really?
Yep, Mego had the line, but they were like the 3 3/4 scale to go with the Star Wars. And I actually just earlier this year, I went to the Kane County show, and I got a Vincent figure that I wanted as a kid, so bad as a kid. But all I got was the MPC model kit, which I built again a couple of years ago. Now it's under glass, because it was the first time when I built it when I was 9, it didn't turn out so good. but yeah, there was a little bit of there was some merchandising, as Yogurt would say.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, it looks as though Disney was looking at making a remake in recent years, and then it got shelved
because Star Wars. They got Star Wars, so they
really
got crap alone, apparently.
That's a mistake. You could do more than Star Wars. Come on.
Well, you see, I've always teased my nephew because he's a big into that Kingdom Hearts fandom. And the Kingdom Hearts movies, or the Kingdom Hearts video games, pardon me, they go to these different worlds where each world is a different Disney movie. And there was a Tron level So I'm like, oh, great. Maybe someday they'll do a black hole level. But no, they
No,
never did.
yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah.
It's funny because this goes back to. See, I wonder if some of it's you'd have to do some research. I know some people I could probably ask, and I bet I could get a pretty good answer. But yeah, Ivan, no, I remember having black hole figures. I remember having them and having those in the house. So yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's interesting though because that time frame, because you had Star Wars, and then yeah, you had Star Trek, but you had Black Hole, and then you had Buck Rogers that eventually then went straight to TV after that. With Aaron Gray wearing that jumpsuit that every freaking boy in America was like, "Hi, yes, I'd like to know Colonel Deering personally."
Gil Gerard, man, he's a lucky man. And
Yeah. But they had toys too, so it's like I always laugh because it's like, did Buck Rogers get a reboot at some point recently or no? Was that dead? Was that dead too?
No. I don't think they have rebooted Buck Rogers since. Maybe they had a cartoon, maybe?
I think
and that was preceded Duck Dodgers in the 24th and a half century. But no, after the Gil Gerard TV series, that was it. I think it was NBC that aired it. But
yeah, it was.
Yeah, but I like Buck Rogers too. I remember building the model kit of the Buck Rogers fighter with the wings down below.
There's an ownership issue. It's typical. There's an ownership issue. Here's an article from last summer from the Hollywood Reporter about a Buck Rogers ownership at center of coming trial. So, all right, as typical, this is a rights problem. Okay. It's amazing.
That sucks.
It's amazing how much of this stuff is about rights.
Well, rights makes the world go round in the
it's about the money.
It's about the money. It's about the bottom line.
Well, look at that. Like, for example, do you know one of the reasons why we haven't seen anything Dick Tracy in a long time?
Chester Gould's estate is up in arms or something?
Is it a big change?
I'll give you better. Warren Beatty from the movie in the 90s.
Yeah.
Rights to any TV or movie project that if one comes out, he gets paid. Period.
Yeah, but does he own the overall intellectual property?
No, but he's got a deal in there he's got a contractual deal that essentially says if anything new gets made, because essentially I guess there was an option for a sequel, and within it, if anything got made without him in it, that he still gets money on it.
Wow. That was in the aftermath of the '89 Batman film, so Warren Beatty went in balls deep with Dick Tracy then.
Right. Well, yeah. Just like all deep.
Well, they invested a lot into that movie Dick Tracy. Although, I mean, did it get a huge receipts?
That was all right. I remember it didn't perform as well in the box office.
Hold on.
I mean, because I know that they did have the large merchandising platform for that. They had the action figures for that.
I remember the Dick Tracy figures. Yeah, I remember those.
You know, I mean, I know Breathless Mahoney now brings big money because she's modeled after Madonna.
Yeah, well, that was the big thing. Is the soundtrack was huge because
the soundtrack was really big.
That might have been. I'll tell you right now, that might have been my favorite Madonna soundtrack.
Well, yeah, I own that. I own that album right now. That Madonna, that Dick Tracy soundtrack is now in many places going for in some places 2, in some places 3 digits now.
Really? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Madonna's really good on that.
Maybe just because
she was fabulous.
That's a.
How many films did she do music for? I mean, I know Evita, and then Who's That Girl, and.
Well, Desperately Seeking Susan didn't have much in the way of music in it.
Yeah.
Let me see, Evita, she did all the way through.
Yeah.
Which she ended up getting big props for that. Shanghai Surprise was the all encompassing stinker of the bunch. MGM had to take that recall that film, and 2/3 of it ended up on the cutting room floor at Madonna's expense because it was a real stinker roof.
Wasn't that just the pet project between her and Sean Penn?
Yeah, it was, and
Okay.
MGM funded it. And they brought it in, and MGM shit all over it and said, "You better get that back into the cutting room." Is this thing
Shanghai
fucking
surprise, more like shit high surprise.
Okay, so gentlemen, Dick Tracy. Dick Tracy grossed $103.74 million in the U.S. and $59 million elsewhere, coming to a worldwide total of $162.74 million.
What year?
And this was in 1990. It was the 9th highest grossing film of 1990 and number 12 worldwide. Economically speaking, the film was a success, and Disney was impressed by the opening weekend gross, which at the time was about $22.54 million.
It was Disney, or was it Touchstone?
Well, Disney is Touchstone.
Yeah,
so.
okay. All right, it was Touchstone.
Touchstone's division, yeah. Disney division.
However, apparently it suggested that Dick Tracy had cost about $100 million to produce and market and promote. We made demands on our time, talent, treasury that upon reflect may not have been worth about. This is Jeffrey Katzenberg. Disney in particular was expecting the film's earnings to match Bad from 1989. They say that they made another $60 million in rentals. Looking to see. I guess they just put a lot of money into this and expected to do better.
Well, they take a lot of promotion into it, I remember.
Yeah, I mean, there was,
Take Dick Tracy's box office receipts for 90 and juxtapose it with the 89 Batmans.
Hold on, now I gotta go.
See, I'm making you do work.
Yeah, what do you do?
Hurry up.
How dare you? I mean, I haven't even gotten to the Madonna movies yet. I was still looking up this. Why you gotta be that way? You guys are just being mean.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything.
I'm a terrible person.
Box office.
Great, now I have guilt.
Let's see.
Workmaster.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Batman was the fastest film to earn $100 million, reaching it in 11 days, 10 days plus late night previews. Film closed on December 14th of 1989 with a final gross of $251.2 million in North America and $160 million internationally, for a total of $411.35 million.
Yeah.
Shit.
See, that's that's the numbers they were looking for Dick Tracy.
For Dick Tracy, yeah, those were the numbers they were looking for, yeah.
Wow, yeah, when you put things in perspective, yes.
We've solved that groovy mystery, gang.
Yeah, no kidding.
It wasn't for you meddling kids.
Yeah, that damn dog of yours, yeah. Alright, let's see about Madonna music. Let me
get back to what we're talking about, respecting the source material. And I think the Dick Tracy movie did a good job of doing that.
Yeah.
Chester Gould would have been happy with it.
He died before the movie was made, right?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah.
I think he did. But being an avid reader of Dick Tracy growing up, yeah, he would have loved it. He would have loved it.
Let's see.
Well, sorry, Warren, we're not making your movie until you're dead.
We're not making the sequel until you die.
Yeah, someone's waiting with bated breath. Probably.
All right, so let's see. Something called A Certain Sacrifice Vision. Oh, she was in Vision Quest? Really?
Yeah, that's the song "Crazy for You." That's where it features prominently. She was in Vision Quest for a few. Was one of her earliest roles.
Okay. All right. No, it is one of her earliest roles, and then it's Desperately Seeking Susan. Who's that girl I know there was music for?
Yeah, including like the title track.
I know there was music for Truth or Dare when that came out.
Right.
League of Their Own had music.
Yeah, but that was more like incidental music than actual direct, Madonna music.
I don't think there was a hit that was tied to that. It was just
Yeah.
a comedy.
Yeah, it used to be my playground. Yeah, it's a phenomenal song.
There's no crying in baseball.
Yeah, that's a good movie too.
I like The League of My Own. I thought that was great.
I'm sorry, we forgot. And more recently, and this is gonna make me. I'm either gonna get hammered for this, or you guys are gonna. We're gonna go in an entirely different subject. This may be my favorite Bond movie of all time, which is Die Another Day.
Never saw it.
You never saw Die Another Day? Wow. It's the last Pierce Brosnan movie.
No, I never saw that one either.
I didn't care for Pierce Brosnan as Bond. That was just though.
I've always been a Sean Connery, Roger Moore man.
Oh, you guys have missed out. That was a good movie.
Growing up in watching James Bond movies in the mid to early 80s when they were aired all the time, I got accustomed to Roger Moore, but now in retrospect, I don't know. I don't care about Roger Moore as well as Sean Connery.
Well, I mean, having grown up with the movies of Sean Connery, in that time and place in the 60s, here we go, dating myself, where we had super sci-fi spoofs like, Matt Helm and, in like Flynn and all the rest of those guys, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which was on television. But, yeah, after the initial situation with Sean Connery and Roger Moore, then I just kind of fell off on it.
Well, like I said, I have not been a big fan of Daniel Craig. There have been some good movies. I just don't feel the need to see him. Pierce Brosnan, to me, is kind of a mix. Pierce Brosnan brings to it the Roger Moore, but he's got a little bit more to him, and gives has a little Connery in him. To me, like I said, I was a fan of Pierce Brosnan being 007.
Well, I liked Goldeneye.
Yeah, I was a big fan of, like I said, some of the movies weren't as good. His movies weren't as good. I will admit that now. But, I thought Die Another Day was one of my favorites. And Madonna does a ton of music for Die Another Day. She's actually in Die Another Day.
Yeah.
How about, For Your Eyes Only? Who was, I remember seeing that.
Sheena Easton, wasn't he?
Yeah, Sheena Easton did the theme for that.
Yeah.
Right. Well, they always have somebody they've always got somebody who does some sort of Bond theme music. Like they had, what's her name do it recently? Who was it? Adele, right?
Adele, Skyfall.
Well, a famous artist doing a Bond theme was kind of a must-have. You had Shirley Bassey who did Goldfinger. You had Tom Jones that did Thunderball.
Yeah.
Which Duran.
That's a motherfucker there. I like the Tom Jones Thunderball. That's really very good.
Live and Let Die.
Live and Let Die. Paul McCartney and Wings.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, Duran did whatchamacallit, which was the one with Grace Jones.
I know which one you're talking
about. Kill.
With Christopher Walken, no less.
Beautiful Kill with Christopher Walken. Hey, Mr. Bond. Hey, how are you? Sorry, gonna have to kill you. Sorry.
Can I just say, considering who was in that movie, you had Walken, and for the time you had Walken, and you look at Walken now, and then you think about Grace Jones, who at the time made total sense to play that kind of a role. And it's like, boy, that movie just didn't do what it could have done or what it could have been based on who you had, if you know what I mean. That movie could have been a lot better.
I know. Was it due to just what made the movie or through the characterizations or what? What did you think was its shortcoming?
I just don't think they took advantage of it. In fairness, it's Walken early. We're talking Walken in the
before 80s. He became a caricature of himself.
Right. Before he really was. Oh my God! If anything, somebody should think about bringing him back to play another villain. Because he'd be great now. He
was a great villain in Balls of Fury.
Yeah. Balls of Fury. I can't believe we went there.
I went there.
Well, fine, if we're going to go there. We're going to go there. Wayne Newton is one of the greatest villains of all time, and he's from the movie you hate.
What movie's that?
Ford Fairlane.
Yeah.
Phenomenal in that movie.
Wasn't one Robert Goulet was a villain?
Yeah, what was he a villain in?
My Green Tambourine.
I don't know. I know Robert Wagner was a villain in
The Revenge of the Green Tambourine.
Hilarious movie with John Candy, right?
Oh, jeez. Was that where he was the private investigator?
Ooh, John Candy? No, that's Meet Harry Crumb.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking about.
That's Meet Harry Crumb, where he talks about, if you find this crazy typewriter, I'll find your killer.
Yeah, the newspaper words.
Yeah, or all the newspapers. No,
It seems that actors have always had an opportunity to play the bad guys. I mean, when you start thinking about villains, how villains have a certain appeal all their own, like the ones I used to watch when I used to watch Batman in 1966, and all of those great actors playing villains in that series.
But now the idea of a villain has changed, especially in the face of these superhero movies, where we don't have just have villains that are doing evil for the sake of it. They think they're doing the right thing. It's like General Zod in Man of Steel. I liked his character, and that one monologue at the end where he's like, everything I've done is for my people, and now I have no people. That was a great line, great scene for that. So villains have evolved in the modern cinematic sense.
Well, it goes I'll take a step further, which is, on that, Mike, which is villains have really... I mean, villains were bad guys, but villains were never as popular as they are now. I mean, and some of that comes from when we were kids in the 80s. And there's a lot of directions you can look at it. Like, for example, everybody loved to hate J.R. Ewing, okay? And evil J.R. Ewing. You look at even in something like pro wrestling where you had Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen, and they're down south, and they're styling and profiling, and they're larger than life, and they're bad guys, and they're evil, and they're beating up Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, and figuring out ways to outsmart the Road Warriors and stuff like that. You've got stuff like Dynasty. Shoot, you even got. I mean, I would say one of the villains, when I look at stuff in terms of role-playing games and whatnot, one of the villains that I look at a lot as an archetype villain in some way, shape, or form, you're going to laugh, from Days of Our Lives, Stefano DiMera.
Interesting.
That guy had some twisted-ass plots, and he always had something wacky going on, and there was always something crazy, and he was just larger than life. And I think that's where villains have gone these days. Some of the villains have really gotten to the point where it's like, you can't have a great movie without a great villain.
Without a great villain,
right?
You go ahead and you relish. You go ahead and these actors they relish that role, and they've taken it to a whole new place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before we broadcast tonight, I was watching a little bit of the first Iron Man. It was on Sci-Fi today.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching a bit of that, and Jeff Bridges as Stain was really good.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those villains where you're like, okay, he's just in it for the money and the company and the power, and then this young kid comes along, he's upsetting his situation. So,
well, I mean, I don't know how much you guys are aware, but that story comes directly from the comics. It's I actually owned that book for a period of time. It's right around the original. I wouldn't say original. I could be wrong about this, but in the 80s when they were hitting Iron Man 200, and it was after Tony was coming back from his alcoholism, and he was taking the company back from Stain. And that was, as a matter of fact, there was a new armor that they introduced. It was red with white instead of the traditional red with yellow. And it was a new, different look for Iron Man with the armor.
But was Stain pretty much the same one from the comic as he
Yeah.
was in the movie?
Yeah, Stain had taken over. Stain had taken over Stark Internet. The difference is Stain was running Stark International, and he basically was now calling it Stain International. And Tony comes to take the company back, and Stain has a suit just like Iron Man does.
The Ironmonger, yeah.
Yeah. No, the Ironmonger suit was in the comics. The most interesting story about that is about Iron Man. I don't know if you've ever heard this one. So initially, they wanted to do the Mandarin. They wanted to do the real deal Mandarin, not like the hokey thing you saw in Iron Man 3.
Ugh.
They wanted to do a real deal Mandarin, and it was interesting because there are sections you can look at where you might see it, where you might see the inkling where they might have been moving towards that in the original movie. But, you have to look for it, but it's there. But it's interesting because they brought some of the Marvel writers and take a look at what they were doing. And Mark Miller, who's the guy who created Civil War, and the guy who is now working for now as an exclusive multi-million-dollar deal with Netflix, who developed Wanted and developed Kingsman and there's a few others, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
Oh, Kick-Ass. Basically point blank sat there and said, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. Nobody's going to buy this the way it is. And so they basically went to this storyline. I think they wanted to do this same storyline.
Turn the Mandarin into a red herring.
Well, kind of, in that first movie. But I think they wanted to hold off on that Stain story for a lot later than when they did it. I think they wanted to have that movie later on. I think they wanted to possibly explore Tony. Bless you. I think they wanted to explore Tony Stark's alcoholism at one point and then go along that route, but they never did, and the rest is history. But I think it's interesting that was the case, and they did it because they were listening to the Marvel writers. So
yeah, but they didn't want to upset. They didn't. I don't know if they wanted to touch the subject of alcoholism in the Marvel Cinematic Universe because they were selling lots of toys to kids. And so they took the abusive relationship. His abusive, his reckless behavior was just with the palladium poisoning in Iron Man 2, and then worried about him, the future of the company, and how he gave Rhodey his suit because he was kind of passing the torch without saying, I'm going to die soon. I think that's where that reckless behavior came from. Which good way, instead of just having him drink himself all the time, staggering around with a bottle. That doesn't help with selling toys to kids in the eyes of parents.
Yeah. Like I said, by that point, they had changed their plans quite a bit because one, they had moved the Stain movie, they had moved the movie with Stain up. And two, by that, they weren't expecting the kind of numbers that they got for Iron Man. They weren't expecting it to be a movie that made them over $200 million domestically. That was never in their wildest dreams. So
they were taking a big gamble with Iron Man 1.
They took a huge gamble and they won, and they've won bigger than that.
Yeah, look at where it is today.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and the rest is kind of history. But yeah, I just
going back to respecting the source material. Talking about earlier.
Yeah, DC could remember that. That'd be helpful.
So is Cavill in or out or what or? I have not been following. This is like the James Gunn thing all over again. Like, Cavill's out. Michael B. Jordan's in. No, he's not. Wait, someone's released a tweet or something. I'm like, oh my God. I was turned off by all the news about Cavill leaving DC or whatever.
Well, okay, so let's start with it's not like James Gunn because there's nothing bad.
But no, just this daily drama that's coming from this. Henry Cavill.
Right. Well, and that's where, this now everybody's gone back to their corners and who knows what the heck's going on. But yeah, it's interesting because I've been waiting for the fund. I'm curious. I didn't catch if it's out there yet. There's a group that's ironically calls themselves, and I think we've talked about it before, a group that calls themselves Diversity in Comics, and quite frankly, they are hardly about diversity in comics. And so that it's kind of ironic that that's the name that they use. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was interesting about the Michael B. Jordan. I do agree with some people who said, okay, how many more movies is he going to be in? It was interesting. I had a friend of mine who said to me, you got The Rock under contract to play Black Adam. Here's an idea. Why don't you get The Rock to play Superman? Which
I just comes back to that SNL skit he did years ago. Do you ever see that where he was Clark Kent?
No, I don't think I did.
All right, there was one episode at SNL where he hosted, and they did a sketch where he's Clark Kent, and he's like super buff, and he's got the suit his Clark Kent outfit is just a little bit too tight, and he's got the red and the blues kind of sticking out of his Clark Kent outfit, and everyone's in on the joke that they know that who he is, and everyone like Perry White and Lois and Jimmy, they're all making fun of him because he's playing it up like, oh, who is this Superman fellow? Oh man, he's a great guy, and like, yeah, sure he is. And Clark, they're all,
yeah.
Sure. But anyway, okay, well, they'll put The Rock in. I don't know. I think he'd be fine. I think he's.
Ivan, didn't you say you read through something? You picked up a new book?
Just a real short moment. Because this goes back to our last subject about anthropomorphic comics. I ended up picking my complete Omaha Volume 4 today. And and it's got a nice foreword in it with James Vance, who done a number of things himself. And it's there's a lot of good splash pages in it. It collects volumes 10 through 13, and it's got a nice glossy front cover. And it's and if you like Omaha the Cat Dancer, for those of you who followed it back in the 80s, right now, Erotica is the book company that's putting out the collected Cat Dancer series. There are 6 volumes, and so I picked up 4 today, and I'll be picking up 5 and 6, and I'll probably end up pulling the trigger and just getting the other first 3 because Lord only knows where my originals are at. I mean, I know I have several of the first books, but I don't know where I've placed them at because my collection's kind of disjointed. I still have some things in the old place I haven't gotten to yet. So, but I'm hoping in the near future to have everything all in one place. But yeah, so if you like this sort of graphic novel, yes, pick it up. Let me see. I want to say that it's about 8. It's about 11 by 11 by 11, maybe. It's a pretty big book.
Is it hardcover?
It's no. It's a soft glossy.
Okay.
So, and it's got full color in the front, and it's printed up from the original black and whites frames that came from the original comic book pressings.
So does that complete the series, or is it still ongoing?
They collected the whole thing through book 1 through 6, and that actually 5 and 6 actually completes the story for a long time. After Kate Worley's passing on, and then her story of treatments carried on after her death, finally completed the story of Omaha and the rest of the characters that came to that completion. So that's the part of the story I don't know how it ends. So it took me a long time to actually run into the situation that I've had the good fortune of going through Gmart and finally able to nail down the other 3 completed collected books. So, and I like the way this one looks so much. I think I'm just going to pull the trigger and just get the collected series and finish it and just have it. So it's just like I'm anxiously awaiting with bated breath for Unnatural 4, which is starting to make strides here in the United States after its translation into English from the original Italian. So it's another story I'm following too at this present point, along with some of my other favorite comic book renderings here with Betty Boop, which that's just something I like a lot, and then the Archie comics, which I'm waiting for number 3 to see how that pans out.
Yeah, it's funny. I think I don't know when it's happened, but I know that Riverdale's getting that spin-off. The TV series is getting a spin-off where they're doing the Sabrina, the Teenage Witch on Netflix, is my understanding. And I think that's Netflix exclusive.
Melissa Ann Hart was doing that series for the longest time, wasn't she?
Yeah. This will be different than that. This will be a lot different than that.
Are they going back to the original Sabrina with the white hair?
Have you seen Riverdale at all?
No.
Okay. This will be nothing like anything. I think there's a trailer out there, but this will be nothing like what you've seen in the comics. It'll be far more. It'll probably be more along what you would see in Riverdale than.
Okay. So it's not like Archie's Weird Stories or anything like that.
Riverdale is pretty much Archie's Weird Stories all the time. If you've never seen it.
Okay, because I remember the old cartoon. I think it was Deke that made that. They did a thing called Archie's Weird Stories, which.
Well, when they say weird stories, Ivan, all I can tell you is Riverdale is further proof that I don't want to live in a small town.
Okay,
and when I say that, it's like no one should ever want to live in Riverdale. You all should run like hell. I mean, seriously, that town is like, no, I'm not living here. No way, you can't make me. I'm leaving, and so should everyone else.
You know something though. Okay, I just opened up this bag of Tootsie Fruit Chews, and you know what I've noticed? They don't put the same number of each flavor in a bag.
You've been separating the flavors?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Oh. So what flavor? So what's the flavor count?
Well, let me see. I have 6 orange, 6 cherries, 6. What the heck are these yellow ones?
Lemon.
Lemons, right? I thought they were banana. 3 apples and 4 vanillas.
Okay, there might have been a banana then. Well then, you see, like every time I get a Starburst, and orange is my favorite Starburst. I always get the same 4. You get the lemon, the orange, the strawberry, and the cherry. They always get 4 of each one. Always.
Yeah. So speaking of candy, I mean, we're now. When you go to the theaters, do you do popcorn or do you do candy? And if you do candy, what kind of candy?
Jeff?
If I'm gonna do candy, it's probably gonna end up being Reese's Pieces.
Okay.
That's probably where I'm going. I rarely do that though in place of popcorn. If I'm gonna do it, it's probably I get popcorn and I get that.
Okay. Me, I like Milk Duds or malted milk balls. I like them. Besides popcorn, I like doing popcorn with a little extra butter. I know that's not good for me, but it tastes good and I like it. and usually I'll do like the popcorn pack where I get the popcorn, I get the soda, which I get the refill for free. And then I'll do either the malted milk balls, the Milk Duds, or I'll get the Welch's chews, the fruit chews.
Okay.
So that's what I would do when I go to the movie. It also depends on what movie I'm watching too. So sometimes if I'm doing whatever movie's up there, sometimes I'll tilt more for the popcorn and a little less for the candy, or vice versa. Okay, Mike?
My go-to at the theater is nachos and cheese. If I can't get nachos and cheese, I'll get popcorn, but I don't get candy at the theater.
Oh, okay.
I do have an asterisk caveat to all of this. Those are my buys in the summer. In the winter time, when I have a winter jacket and multiple pockets, I will.
You bring your own?
You'll smuggle in?
Bring my own crap to the movie. Because those prices are a little insane.
I use them for smuggling. I never thought I'd be smuggling myself.
Yeah.
No, I've done a bit of smuggling, so I can't say I'm exempt from that either.
I remember when my friends and I went and saw Avatar, we made a stop at Big Lots, and we bought like
the dollar candy. Yeah.
Dollar candy, but like $10, $12 worth of candy, and we just loaded up. But it's difficult to, with any amount of subtlety, open a can of soda in the theater.
Well, that's because usually, like if I'm bringing liquid, it's usually water or like a Gatorade bottle. So those are, and when I say that, not the real big one, like the 20 ounce or the 16 ounce. So that'll fit in a pocket. And you can get those at least in one pocket. So yeah, that'll work because in theory it's not going to spill. But I don't know about where you guys are going. In fairness, at this point, I'd be willing to spend. If I'm sneaking stuff in, I'm willing to spend a little extra on the drink. And the reason I'm willing to spend a little extra on the drink there is just because it's got that fountain where it's got a million different types of drinks. And I honestly, I'll usually get Powerade Zero, and I'll mix up a whole different.
Oh, you're a mixer. Okay.
Yeah, I'll mix a bunch of different Powerade Zeros, and then because I've got the Stubbs thing, I can get a refill later. So yeah.
I use a very narrow thermos, and that's how I get my soda in. And I've tried to, I had a pocket when if you got an inside pocket that works really well.
Yeah, it's called a flask, Ivan.
Well, no, it's a thermos bottle. It's a very narrow thermos bottle.
Narrow thermos, yeah. We know what you're smuggling in.
Oh well, no. If I'm doing booze, yeah, I will smuggle in a flask. But,
yeah, there's more and more theaters now that are serving alcohol.
Yeah.
Oh, I was at Block 37 today. AMC has got a dine-in movie theater there.
Yeah, they got one out in Northbrook too.
And it's like you get full-blown meals now, plus booze. It's crazy. The Logan Theater serves alcohol too in its lobby.
Wow.
They have a full-service bar in there, plus another alternate room where comedians and or musicians can play. It's really been quite the place. Sorry. That they rebuilt it back to its former 1915 glory. It's a beautiful theater. It really is. They did a beautiful job at the Logan. If you get a chance to go to the Logan on Milwaukee Avenue, please do it. It's really gorgeous. It's not the shithole it was when I went there when I was in high school back in the 70s.
I gotta see, because do they have the seats with the big, like when I went out to Northbrook, they have the big seats with the tray where you can move it and stuff. And for me, I'm a little larger than most people. That was kind of, I'll be honest with you, that was a little uncomfortable. So I was like, nah, not so much.
I like the new AMC in Norwich because they got the big sofa chairs in there, and they got the recliners, which are really nice. Yeah. They got it when you go and you rent you go ahead and you get it in advance. You sit there and you get the reclining chair with the lift up your feet and the cup holders, and you can pull the chair back and you got the big screen in front of you. It's like being in your own house. It's really quite cool. The theaters in Logan, they recline, but unfortunately, it's not size friendly because it's a tight fit for me because I'm a big guy. So, but, I manage okay. But if I really want to pull the big stretch, I go to the Norge Theater and literally pull the big stretch with reclining seats, which is really nice. They also got that at, trying to think, Webster Place. They have that as well in Chicago, just off of, Elston Avenue.
I'll be honest. My seats that I like are that row that's like right against the wall, the raised area where I know technically that's supposed to be like the handicap stuff, but ever since I had that accident like 25 years ago, sometimes with my legs they draw a little bit, and it's like I want a little bit more leg room where I can put my legs out and get that whole row out that way. It's like, okay, I can just like kind of like be like, ah.
Yeah, there's that one row just forward of center they got the spacing out between the seats.
Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah, and it's just a lot easier because sometimes it's like, it just, like I said, sometimes you just want to put your legs out, and it's like, okay, I can't really put them out, and God forbid you kick something or kick somebody in the back of the head, or, you don't want to do that. That's not.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, my sister's handicapped, so sometimes when we take her to the movies, they get the handicapped seating.
Speaking of drinks, I don't know, this came out today. I saw this on WGN. WGN had this one, which is apparently Coca-Cola is considering a move into a growing market of cannabis-infused drinks.
Oh, I've seen that. IPA's got one out too.
They said in a statement Monday that they're closely watching the growth of CBD, a non-psychoactive component in marijuana, as an ingredient in what is being called a functional wellness beverage.
Well, makes sense because look at Coca-Cola's origins.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
But I guess we can get Coca-Cannibus Cola. That may be a possibility down the road.
I see a billboard for that.
Well, I saw a billboard in Logan Square for that already. They've already got. I think the company IPA has got a brand of cannabis infused beer.
I was at work today, and one of my sales reps, he's flying out to South Dakota today. I said, "What time's your flight?" 4:20, and I go, he's like, what? He's like, he didn't know that 4:20 is code for pot.
It's like the old, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Now it's 4:20 someplace. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. All right, because I know we're coming down to the wire. We talked about this story before we even went on the air, and this seems like a good place to end. So there was a deli worker who was arrested for stealing deli meat.
Okay. Well.
Apparently, and this is a story from Vice. It's their Munchies section. Apparently, this deli worker has eaten 2 ounces of ham a day for 5 days a week for 8 years.
Oh my God!
Apparently, this person's been sneaking. Yeah, it's the typical crime that, in theory, you're not supposed to get caught for. It's like if you only took $1 out of the till every day, in theory, no one would totally catch it. So she took 2 ounces of ham or a cold cut.
3 to 5. This is 3 to 5 slices a day for 5 years.
Yep.
Oh,
5 years. They figured out, apparently one of the coworkers, figured out some of the statistics to this, and, they have come to the conclusion that she stole over $9,000 worth of deli meat. And,
that's a lot of salami for one woman.
No bologna.
Well, no bologna, mostly ham, but sometimes salami, apparently. And they added the amount of weight to basically be about 260 pounds of ham.
So she ate her weight, literally her weight in ham.
More, probably.
Yeah. Wow.
While our office did take the report of the issue as requested by the store, no determination is made on charges has been made, said the Tuscarawas County Sheriff's Officer Orvis Campbell. The procedure is to send the report to the prosecutor's office, and they'll be the ones to decide. So apparently this is I don't know if this is going to happen or not, but
Grand Theft.
Ham.
I played that video game.
Yeah.
Who stole the quiche-gun?
And of course,
where
does this happen?
From the butcher shop.
Where does this happen? It's either one of two places. Well, three usually. Either
Florida,
Ohio, or Kentucky. And you can take a wild guess. Yes, this is a story out of Ohio.
Yep.
So, yeah. But I can see this.
I've been to Ohio recently, yeah, and some crazy stuff is capable of going down there in Ohio.
Well, I mean...
I was with you in Ohio. Yes, you're right.
Well, no winning sports teams for a while. Now LeBron James gone, something going on,
What was the story about that guy that retired at halftime?
Oh, Vontae Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was with the Colts. He's a really good player.
How old was he?
He's been playing in the league for about 10 years. I think he's hold on, I'll go look it up. But
we got to look this up because that was the story of the week. That and the guy who threw the 5 touchdowns that ruined your fantasy football.
Six touchdowns. Don't you forget the other touchdown that I don't.
Oh, I stand corrected, Jeff.
Oh, God damn it.
Six.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know if any other player's ever done that. Just retired. Really? Say, okay, I've retired. And he's got gets his smoking jacket on and he walks off the field saying, okay, I'm done.
Vontae Davis is 30. Started his career with Miami in 2009.
That was 11 years ago.
So, yeah, this would have been his 11th year or so. There you go. Vontae, I want to say I feel like Vontae's been, actually, Vontae is has one of the few shirts that I ever considered buying, as a Colts fan. I usually have not bought shirts like that sometimes, but there was a shirt that was out there that says 2/3 of the earth is covered by water and the other third is covered by Vontae Davis. And I almost bought that one. But I feel like Vontae, he walked out at halftime. He's like, yep, I'm done.
He did the Thanos snap and he only played half a game.
Yeah. Actually, now that you're mentioning this, Mike, hold on a second. I have his statement on my page. I actually put that up earlier today. Where is it? Hold on, I'm waiting. Give me a second. I gotta scroll through.
I don't think any other player has done this.
Well, I know his teammates were all peeved off about this thing too.
Yeah.
Which is, Here we go. This is the official statement from Vontae Davis. This isn't how I pictured retiring from the NFL, but in my 10th NFL season, I have been doing what my body has been programmed to do. Get ready to play on game day. I've endured multiple surgeries and played through many different injuries throughout my career. Over the last few weeks, this was the latest physical challenge. But today on the field, reality hit me fast and hard. I shouldn't be out there anymore. I mean, no disrespect to my teammates and coaches, but I hold myself to a standard. Mentally, I always expect myself to play at a high level. Physically, I know today that isn't possible, and I had an honest moment with myself while I was on the field. I just didn't feel right, and I told the coaches, I'm not feeling like myself. I also wondered, do I want to keep sacrificing? And truthfully, I do not, because the season is long. It's more important for me and my family to walk away healthy than to willfully embrace the warrior mentality and limp away too late. This was an overwhelming decision, but I am at peace with myself and my family. I choose to be grateful to God for allowing me to play the game. You get the point.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, he walked out in the middle, and you know what? there's a part of me where I get it, where it is kind of crazy, but at the same time, based on his statement, there's a part of me where I'm like, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. Why? I mean, seriously, why would you put yourself in any position like that if you really feel like, if you really feel like you're done and you have nothing else and there's nothing else to prove?
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
If
I'm out of here. I mean, that seems silly. But, well, all right, so what's everybody got for the coming week?
Well, I got, let's see, tomorrow I'll be at the Electric Jungle tomorrow. I'll be doing my...
That's Tuesday.
That's Tuesday. Podcast won't be out then.
Okay, well then, Wednesday I will be at the Logan Arcade, from 9 to 2, out of the satchel. Yes, surprises abounds with the record collection from yours truly, playing them for your pleasure. Let's see, Thursday I will be at Cafe Mustache, 2313, North Milwaukee. I will be, there for rock and roll trivia. And, that starts at 8 p.m. and I start playing at 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. And as far as I know, that's pretty much that until the weekend. So that's my bit of running around that I'll be doing. Oh, Friday I'll be at Mathers from 12 to 4. Mathers Cafe, 3235 North Central Avenue in Chicago. So that's what I'll be doing. What will you be doing?
Jeff?
Mike, what you got?
Not much. I'm just seeing a friend Wednesday. We're just going to hang out. And this weekend, I'm just going to, I got to work on Saturday. But Sunday, I'll probably just be doing more stuff with organizing around the house. So, yeah, things have just been slow for me. Just looking forward to next week is the Fathom Events 86 Transformers film. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
What about you, Jeff?
Let's see. This week is the second half of Jewish holidays, so Yom Kippur, which is the holiest day of the Jewish calendar. So at some point I should go atone for my sins. I'm going to have to fast, which is not fun for a fat man. Fasting is not something I want to do. And then let's...
One day, right? One day.
Hey, one day. One day, man. That's not... Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, one day.
That's an eternity for us fat guys.
Just fill up before midnight.
Yeah. No, it's sundown the night before. Well, anyway. I don't follow every rule correctly anyway. That's the reason
Well, go into tone, Jeff, and happy Yom Kippur to you.
Let's see what else. What else do I have? I'm in the process of I'm working on writing a piece for. I'm writing the seminar for the Sparks seminar is going to be happening for D6 Star Wars, and I am in the process of writing that. It's going to be at Gamers Conclave on the first weekend of October out at the College of DuPage. So I'm working on material for that. And, hey, brand new TV is coming on Saturday. A 55-inch, baby. Woo!
Nice.
Oh, boy. Cool.
55-inch. And then Sunday night is Windy City Professional Speakers. So that's kind of my weekend. And otherwise, in sections, it's going to be a little on the slow side. So we'll see.
All right.
Hey, good. Sounds good.
And life is good. But, so yeah, speaking of life being good, if people want to hear more of our show, Mike, where do they find us?
We are on Instagram and Twitter at SOTRT Podcast. We have our Facebook group. That's where I think we're the most active. So we appreciate you if you want to just hit us a like and follow us on Facebook. We appreciate it. And for those who have listened for all those months on YouTube, thank you. We appreciate it very much. If you want to like and subscribe, that's great too. But you know what? We're not just on YouTube anymore. Yay! We are now on Podbean, which makes us download the free app. And we are on Google or Android or Apple. You can listen to our podcast anywhere in the world.
Yay!
Yay! So thank you for listening, and we appreciate it. And if you want to send us an email, that's great too. It's the email is sotrtpodcast@gmail.com.
Awesome. And
All right.
I probably will I'm going to try to do a Fantastic Friday Fun on my Facebook page, and maybe that'll prop people up to make people aware that we're doing the show. And like I said, this has been Squares of the Roundtable Podcast. I'm Jeff Stein, and I'm with
Mike Boyle.
And I'm Rivera.
Thanks again for being with us this week. And have a great week, everybody. If you're celebrating, have a good holiday. And may the force be with you, I guess.
Roger
Peace.
that.